Today, I welcome Paul to the show, where we're going to be talking about self confidence, mindset, discipline, and many, many more things. So, a quick introduction to Paul, and then we'll dive into our conversation today. So, Paul is a mindset coach, and he helps men remove blocks to smash their fitness, weight loss, and quit booze. And he's also forever been fascinated by human behavior. Me too, Paul. I love it. So, yeah, just welcome to the show, Paul. I love seeing. I was just saying before we started, I love seeing your posts and always seeing like all the action you're taking and inspiring other men out there to develop themselves as well. Yeah, like obviously you are doing that work. You're helping people quit booze. You're helping them with their weight loss. What's maybe a little bit about your story that's inspired you to help men with this?
Hey Johnny, how you doing? So my story, so I'll keep it to the quicker version. Basically, I was in a job, I was in a role, I was in a career that was good on paper, great
Mm,
status, great salary, great car. I used to
mm,
call it golden handcuffs. And basically, over time, I fell out of love with it, and more and more and more, I felt I was surrounded by sort of people I didn't want to be surrounded by. I felt like there was a lot of mask wearing, a lot of
mm,
fakery, people faking it to make it, as it were. And I got to a point where I was really low, to be honest. I felt suicidal at one point.
wow.
Would I have actually killed myself? I wasn't afraid to die, I guess is what I would say. I guess is the way I'd describe it. But I'm of that sort of belief. If somebody's going to do it, they're not going to talk about it. They'll just do it.
Mm,
But I didn't. I survived it. And basically, at that point, now I was so low, um, didn't know what else to do. I was that guy who was 20 stone. I was massively overweight, desperately unhappy. I was drinking loads, and I was drinking sort of up to two bottles of wine most nights. Um, and as I say, the job was not fulfilling me anymore. So I got to that lowest point. I rang the Samaritans, had a conversation with them. Couldn't really tell you exactly what was said, but that was sort of my lowest point after many different things had gone on. And basically, it was 5 years ago, January. I basically changed everything. I had, if you want to call it an epiphany, I found a powerful sort of intervention, I think, from upstairs, from the universe. Um, then changed everything. I gave up alcohol. I left the job, left corporate career completely, um, and then also lost loads of weight as well.
mm,
Um, so all of that happened. I had no plan B, which was a little bit scary. I did what Tony talks about, burning your boats. Yeah, I
mm,
literally burnt my boats. And what I found myself doing over the next few months, though, is immersing myself in a personal development journey, like going to all the seminars, meeting all the gurus, if we want to call them that, and finding my path, inner healing, um, progression. And it took me sort of 8 or 9 months. I was pumping all the information that I was learning, all the tools, tips, techniques that I was using for myself to fix myself, if that's how we call it. I was pumping it all into a laptop, and then all of a sudden, sort of 8, 9 months later, I was all into the hero's journey. And I suddenly realized that this is my gift. My gift is to help that guy who I was 5 years ago. Um, and then I started coaching. Obviously, got certified and everything. I did a lot of executive coaching when I was in corporate anyway.
mm.
But then basically, I started coaching, and here we are, 5 years on. And that's the guy I help. I help people who are in transition. They could be moving out of corporate, they could be changing relationships, they could be wanting to lose a load of weight, they could be wanting to get fitter, they could have addictions. I've got a few people on my books with, with the booze issues or
Mm.
coke issues, things like that. So, but if I was to describe it, I would say the main thing, as you said on the intro, really is it all comes down to mindset. Is what I find that's the biggest transformation that I do, and that's me. So here we are, 5 years on.
Oh wow! Well, thank you for the introduction and obviously being very like open and transparent as I know you are, as sort of like from what I see and sharing your story and now how you're helping other people. Sounds like you went from quite a dark time, but now you're very much empowering others, and it's kind of like a superpower almost.
Yeah, definitely. And the big thing is, it's that thing of I've been on the journey, and I like when I'm helping clients, empowering is a great word. It really is what I do. I empower them to help themselves. I'm not one of these coaches that wants to have people on my books for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. I want to help them to get to a certain level, and then eventually, we take the stabilizers off, set them free, as it were. So
Mm,
they can crack on and use their own tools to live an amazing life.
mm. Just yeah, it's yeah, I was very much the same. It's like want someone to be sort of dependent on themselves rather than me me forever. So yeah, like the
Yeah,
word empowerment I love there.
yeah, yeah,
For
yeah.
you, sorry,
I don't
carry
want them
on.
to be. I don't want them to be a crutch. I don't want me to be their sort of crutch. That's not what it's about, is it?
Mm,
It's about you know, it, as I say, empowering them and getting them to
mm,
step up to the next level themselves and be self-resourceful.
just being that initial guide. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah,
For you, like there's a big shift probably at the beginning. Like you very openly shared that there was quite a bit of drinking involved. I've been there, a different level when sort of on my worst downs. There you said you had put on quite a lot of weight over time. You were very very unhappy. Coming out of your job, and then you obviously made a big or in your job, and then you made a big change for you. Like, how were you able to keep taking consistent action from the beginning? Because it must have been like pushing a boulder, maybe, I'm guessing at the start. Was it just you were setting yourself little targets? Did you have someone in your corner? Yeah, just be really interesting to hear.
yeah. So you're right. It felt like I was pushing and trying to force things at the beginning. Absolutely, totally scary, very scary. But I also had a massive energy within me as well. Call it my fire within.
Mm,
Because I felt immediately I knew I was on the right path. And so what support did I get? Yeah, I got myself around the right people. Tony talks about 555. You review
mm,
your five peers, the people you look up to, your idols, and the people that are looking up to you. That needed to happen. Review my nearest people, the people that support me and cheerlead, etc. As I say, get myself around the right people for personal development. Um, I felt at home there as well. That was a big thing for me. It was you know, us personal development people speak a certain language, and we think a certain way, and I just felt this is my tribe, this is my crew. So that was easy. Get myself around good coaches. I've had several coaches along the way myself.
mm,
I wouldn't say there was one specific or one in particular or one tribe. I like to take in a mixture from various different places. And then, if you want to talk about discipline now, or you know, should should I
yeah,
should I
no,
launch
that'd be great. A great
should I launch
transition point.
should I
Yeah,
launch into that?
yeah.
Because you're asking me how I was doing it. So combination of different things. So for me is small shifts. Absolutely small little changes, small incremental changes. I've got several different things within my programs that we kind of aim for. 1% daily progress is a big thing for me. Just a little daily progress. Obviously, the one day at a time thing with the booze.
Mm,
Um, we don't have tomorrow, in my opinion. We can only live for the here and now, live in the present, and it makes everything a lot easier if you're just dealing with that. This specific moment here and now, like us talking. and it stops the anxiety as well, doesn't it? It stops the worry about the future and things like that. And what if I did drink? Other elements of it is absolutely my why, my purpose. And with my clients, that's very important as well, to make sure that the why is super powerful. And my why is very simple. I've already mentioned it. My why is to help that guy from 5 years ago, and I'll never
Mm.
let him down. And even when I say that, it kind of puts hairs on the back of my neck,
Mm.
Um,
Wow.
and it feels like my clients are me, you know, when I'm coaching them, because they've all got some kind of element of who I was, and who I probably, I'm still a student, still learning.
Mm.
So
Me too. Yeah.
there's, none of us are perfect for
Yeah.
sure. I don't have all the answers as well, like and we kind of discussed that before about empowering and coming together with a plan. Other elements, identity is a massive thing for me.
Mm.
So I would say that's a huge thing that continues to flow in what I do and what I believe. I'm very much about lower self and higher self, and what vibe we operate at. I could even describe my lower self and higher self in great detail now. Their values, their beliefs, their actions, and I've got a little mnemonic that we use as well. It's called Beat Ali, Beali. Don't ask me who Ali is because he doesn't exist.
Okay.
But it's change our beliefs, shift our emotions, will lead to actions, and then the actions become lifestyle. So you start getting bigger, you start having a bigger package then.
Mm.
And then the jackpot for me is identity at the end of it. So
Mm.
Beali. So identity is the biggest thing of, you know, why do I go to the gym on a daily basis? I'll give a good example here now. So I'm training for High Rocks. It's kind of a CrossFit thing, like
Okay.
event. And I've got my final one on Sunday of the season. It's been a long season. I'm bored of it. I'll be honest with you. Little bit of vulnerability there. I'm piss bored of it by now. But I'm still going to do Sunday. And I was considering to myself, why am I still doing it if I'm bored of it? I'm not, you know, I'm not into it now anymore. Now, the reason why I'm doing it is because of my identity, because closely linked to my identity is integrity. And basically doing what I said I was going to do. I've promised to myself that I'm going to do that.
Mm.
Therefore, it's going to happen. I'm going to be there on Sunday. Um, so, so that's a big part of it. Is showing up
Identity.
as the best version of ourselves. Being clear on that first. Who is that guy? Who is the best version
Mm.
of me? As I say, what are his beliefs? What are his values? What lights him up? What's he passionate about? And what's he famous for? And what I'm famous for is doing what I say I'm going to do.
Mm. I like that.
So
It's a strong identity to have.
yeah,
Doing what you say you're going to do. Yeah.
yeah,
I know
yeah,
Tony's huge on the ident saying it's the driving force, right, of the
mm,
the human net, not human nature, but that's the closest term I could come. But of the human personality,
yeah,
is the consistency of the identity. So
yeah. It's
sounds like you
huge.
you took some time to carve it out for you.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's been evolving as well. So, I mean, I share it super quick. That basically back in the day, my lower self was frail Fitzy. He was the guy in the darkened room, head in the hands, doesn't have an answer, big question mark above his head, totally
Mm.
confused, lost, broken, pissed off, frustrated. And my higher self is fearless Fitzy. He's not concerned about anything in front of him. He'll break through barriers, etc., etc. But I've now evolved it a little bit where he's a turbo mode, he's a sports mode, like in a car where
Mm.
you flick the sports mode. And actually, to be him on a daily basis is quite exhausting because he's full on, he's intense. So I've now got a middle self, which is my default, I would say. This guy operates between 40 and 80% capacity, I would say. And this guy's the peaceful terminator. So he's got peace of mind.
Mm.
Yeah, he's got clear peace mind. But he's a terminator in terms of, and it's not a violent thing. It's more about Terminator, as in he's got all the tools available to him for whatever curveballs come in his life. So yeah, and there's many elements to it, all about the values, beliefs, and all that type of thing. So it's an evolving process as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
Love it, love it. You mentioned about having like at the start when we going back, we were saying about you had like a fire like lit in you
Yeah.
to start like moving forward, even though it was a lot
Yeah.
of like hard work.
Yeah.
Is there, it might be to do with like the identity piece and really identifying who you are,
Yeah.
but for like the individuals who may come to you like really stuck and they're just like, I've lost it, I've lost the drive for life.
Yeah.
How can they start to kind of ignite that fire?
So um, I'd probably go back to, okay, so the first thing, I'm very bespoke with each individual client.
Mm,
They fill in an intro pack when they start with me in detail. Um, and I've got various angles that I use with different clients. So
okay, specific. Yeah.
yeah, I'd probably start with the mnemonic that I talked about. We'd check out what their beliefs are.
Mm,
If they're trying to achieve something, so what do you believe about it? What do you believe about exercise, for example? You know,
mm,
um, what's stopping you? What's your blockers? And we hit them early on. What's your limiting beliefs? The usual thing. We kind of remove all of those things out of the way first. Um, uh, Emotions. Quite often people have got emotions attached to not showing up and not doing things. So we clear those emotions, get them out of the way. So it's almost like we're gradually removing all the blockers possible. And then we get down to business. And when I talk about business, we then start building a level of accountability. What is it do you want to achieve? What's the specifics about it? And how can we make it as easy as possible? No, not as easy as possible, as simple as possible. Yeah, because
mm,
nothing's
mm.
easy if someone sort of doesn't want to do it, or if they're used to procrastinating or putting blockers in the way. So let's make it as simple as possible. Meaning, we might just concentrate on one habit for the first few days, for the first
Mm.
week maybe. Then we'll build it up to two. Then we might build it up to three, and then quite early on we're already bringing in the identity thing. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, who is your lower self? Who is your higher self? And we get very specific about that. And then they're actually looking at the bigger picture then to have an understanding of how they want to show up on a daily basis.
Mm.
And then the habits become much easier if there's an identity attached to it. And we've removed all the BS, if you want to call it that, because
Yeah.
some of it is BS. It's that, as Tony says, the bullshit story we tell ourselves,
Mm.
right? You know, and
Yeah.
a lot of it is until we're challenged, and then what comes into it is accountability. You know, some of the guys like accountability on a daily basis, some don't, some want it on a weekly basis, for example. Um, and then showing up. Let's keep showing up, getting the community. Community is a big thing as well.
Mm. Huge
Um,
impact.
yeah, when men realise that I'm not alone. There's other people out there. There's other people with very
Mm.
similar challenges as I have. It makes it much more. And then obviously, if there's people in the community doing or having done what it is that you're trying to do, whether it be packing up the booze, losing weight, getting fitter,
Mm.
if you're seeing people in the community doing that, you're like, well, this is possible. If he
Mm.
can do it, why can't I? So yeah, there's many different elements to it. I'm very much about not one size fits all as well. Like,
Mm.
there's nothing that irks me more, if I'm honest, of seeing these cookie cutter programs or methods or style of coaching that it's just pre-packed, and you just expect somebody to sort of adapt to it or resonate with it, when we're all completely different. We're all very
Yeah.
different individuals,
It's a
in my
great point.
opinion. I've got so many different guys. Some of them are rebels, some of them are people pleasers. Some of them struggle with motivation. Some of them have got too much motivation, or not motivation, but energy, and they need to slow down. You need to you need to find out exactly where someone is and how to tailor it towards their needs.
Yeah, I like what you said about being really specific. That's a really good
Yeah,
reminder for myself and other people as well.
yeah.
Paul, before we sort of like wrap up, I always want to like ask. I always like to ask this question. It might be something that you've already shared, or it might be another point. But if you were to leave us with your number one confidence tip from your experience or working with people that that's worked or you felt is really important, what would that be?
A confidence tip. Um, confidence tip. I mean, so I have a firm belief that anything is possible for anybody.
Mm,
That's a belief that, you know, I let every client know as soon as they begin.
mm,
Um, confidence tip. I'm trying to choose a very good one and a very specific one. Um, so one thing that's really quite useful is to basically do a single pager, an A4 pager with a new client if someone's lacking confidence. Um, an A4 pager and list all the accomplishments that they've achieved within a given
mm,
period. So whether it be 3 months, 6 months, a year, um, and just basically brainstorm to start. Um, and sometimes I do it with the client, and all of a sudden, there's that change, isn't there? There's that
mm.
almost aha
Oh,
moment, like shit, man. I can look what I've done. I've been so busy worrying and procrastinating and being anxious or whatever, or lacking confidence that I've forgotten what I was capable of. You know.
wow.
So I think that's a really good one, and it's a little bit similar to what David Goggins calls the cookie jar. You know, he calls it the cookie jar, which is basically a jar full of cookies, and the cookies are all these accomplishments, milestones that we've achieved in our past. And I did that quite early on my 5 year journey, actually. Now that I think of it, just a one pager, and it was a mixture of, you know, physical, professional, and I kept it somewhere very prominent, you know, as a reminder. And then actually, now that I think of it, I built on it. You know, I then put my identity to it. This is this guy. This is what he does. This is what he's famous for. You know, so that's what I would say.
Oh, love it. Yeah. It's a similar exercise I've been given for Joseph actually, of like remembering your and get your mind focused in a certain way. So no,
Yeah.
thanks for ending with that one. So Paul, if the listener wants to find out more about your work or connect with you or maybe find out more about the community you offer, where can they find you?
Facebook is probably the easiest one. I am on Instagram. I am on LinkedIn as well, but Facebook, just my main Facebook profile. Not even my business one, to be honest. The main Facebook profile has got everything, as in, you know, it's got my personal, my professional. I basically post everything on there first. So if they want a real flavour of who's the true, real, authentic Paul Fitzgerald, warts and all, yeah, they can jump on there. And the stories, as we discussed earlier. So it's
Mm.
the Facebook profile, and I like to, again, it's the, you know, the consistency and showing up on a daily basis. It's my challenge to do a story every day, at least one story every single day on Facebook. So that's where they'll see me.
Amazing. We'll be sure to link that one up in the notes below.
Yeah,
So Paul, thank you so much for coming on today and
pleasure, my
all the
friend.
work you're doing.